Irma, can you tell me about the car you drive?
It's a Subaru Impreza T-Reg, and it's an automatic sport 2 litre. It's the estate version of it.
So the car, does it say more about you or does it say more about your work?
It's a combination of both, really. I mean, it's ideal because I didn't want a typical girly car. You know, I don't consider myself to be a typical girl. I like to go to the pub and play pool and have a laugh and that sort of thing. And I didn't want a little Metro Fiesta Micra sort of thing. I wanted something a bit unusual from that point of view. And it's quite a bloke's car, I think. But it's nice because I can get we've got 2 big dogs, I can get the dogs in it. And there's plenty of room. I've got a whole sort of vet kit in there because I do need to go to farms and stuff. So it was an ideal compromise between everything that I needed. And I've just fallen in love with it. I've had it for a year now and it's perfect.
You enjoy the driving experience behind it?
Yeah, I love driving it. I really, really do. And I used to have a Mini. My first car was a Mini. And I had another one after the Peugeot. And I like the feeling, you know, it's proper driving. You can feel all the bumps and stuff in the Mini and it handles well and you can throw it around corners and stuff. But it just became impractical because of the size. And then that, you still get all the enjoyment and the speed and the handling. And if you think, oh, I'll just drive around the corner a bit fast, see if it will slide, and it doesn't. It just sticks so well, I suppose, because of the, you know, 4-wheel drive and stuff. It's just such good fun. It really is good fun to drive.
So is there any reason you chose the automatic over, say, a manual?
Well, I always said I wouldn't have an automatic, and I thought, you know, I really didn't like it because I like the whole thing about, you know, proper driving with gears and, you know, using the gears and all that sort of thing. But in the end, I ended up choosing the automatic because I do spend a lot of my time in traffic and I've got a bit of a dodgy knee and it's on my clutch leg and I find it does start to get quite painful if I sit in traffic for ages, which is why I went for that. But I really like it. It's lovely for traffic because you just sit there and you don't have to do anything. But at the same time, because it's a really good automatic, you know, you don't get all the lurching between gears, it's really smooth. And the other thing is it's got a power button on it. Not a girly button for the steering, but it's got a power button, and when you need it to stay in lower revs and kick down, it does. So that's nice because you sort of drive along and you go, you know, if you need to get around someone in traffic.
So do I get the feeling then you're a bit of a girl racer?
Yeah, I suppose it's a terrible thing to say, but I am. I like the speed and I like, I don't know, I love driving. I really do enjoy driving, whether it's motorway, country roads, whatever. And I like driving. I'm quite an aggressive driver.
So is there anything you don't like about the car? Anything that you change?
The only thing I would change is the stereo. It hasn't got a very good tape deck, but I think that's just because it's, you know, it's not a top of the range model. But I might change that. But from the car point of view, no, I love it. It's I haven't had a single problem with it since I've had it, and it's been through all sorts of driving conditions, everything. You know, it's been left unstarted for 2 weeks in the cold and it's just fired up first time. I know modern cars should, but I haven't had any problems with it at all.
And obviously all the animals like it.
Yeah, the dogs get in there, jump in and out, cover it in hair and dirt.
Is it quite practical from that point of view? Is it easy just to run a hoover over it or sweep it up? Or?
Yeah, it's not too bad. It's got, I know this is a pathetic thing to say, but it's got a really good it's got a big mat in the back that you can take out as well in the boot. And it's got a big lip on it which keeps all the dog hair and stuff out of the way, and you can take it out and sit on it if you're in the middle of a field somewhere and stuff like that. And I don't know, it's perfect.
Motoring magazines, it's such a problem which one to choose. There's just so many nowadays. Max Power, Motorsport, Top Gear magazine. Hang on a second, what's this one? Ignition, turning on to women motorists. Now that's a new one on me, I must find out more. Hang on a sec, I've got an idea. Quick phone call. Hi, is that Claire Bowen? Hi, I think I'm in the area. I'd like to talk about the magazine. 5 minutes? Perfect.
Hello, Claire.
Hi Claire, thanks for coming so quickly. Can we have a chat about your magazine?
Yeah, get in out of the rain. It's horrible out there.
Claire, tell me about Ignition. What makes it so special as a magazine?
Ignition is special because it's written by women journalists with women in mind. Women tend to feel that if a man's writing for them, he is patronising. Whereas if it's a woman doing it, they know that the woman has suffered the same things, that is looking for the same things, and therefore it seems okay.
Why should I go out and buy Ignition over one of the other motoring magazines, say Autocar, Auto Express, What Car, something like that?
Because the other magazines are mainly designed for men who are enthusiasts. It's always been assumed that men are the motoring enthusiasts and women don't actually like cars very much. With 50% of all car drivers, or around about 50% being women, I think ideas are changing, and there are some women who are passionate about cars. There are others that just want to get from A to B.
So how much detail do you go into? Is it you're telling people the bore and stroke and the brake horsepower capacity of engines, or?
Well, there is a bit of that. Obviously those sort of things are mentioned. It's not for the person who's been tinkering under the bonnet since they were 17 years old. It's for people who are driving, and 50% of women drive cars, own cars, buy cars, that they're involved in motoring in one way or another. But they're not necessarily enthusiasts. There's some that, of course, that are. But they want general motoring information. They want to know which is the safest car, which is the cheapest car, which is, all sorts of information. How does 4x4 work? Should they have a car with satellite navigation? Is it really worth the extra money? Should they have child seats fitted? What sort of child seats should they have? All sorts of practical information that women look for, because they do the chauffeuring. They chauffeur the children around, they can chauffeur Granny around, so they want to know if there's good access to the rear, all sorts of things like that.
Claire, what sort of reaction are you getting from the readers of Ignition?
We get readers' letters asking us for advice. If they want to buy a car, they've got so much budget, what do they do, where do they go? But I think the best one of all came from a reader who contacted us to say that her husband had disappeared into the loo with a magazine. She assumed that it had come from the top shelf somewhere. But when he emerged, he got clutching a copy of Ignition, and she said, well, why have you got that? And he said, well, it was a woman's magazine and I didn't want you to see me reading it. And she said, well, why did you want to read a woman's magazine on motoring? And he said, well, it's really good, it demystifies motoring.
Now Claire, the eternal question, who's a better driver, a man or a woman?
I would say women, obviously, because women are more, actually they are in lots of ways, because they're patient. But I think there are plenty of really bad women drivers and really bad men drivers, and there are equally good female and male drivers. So I don't think you can say that one is better than the other.
Well, what a superb magazine. I'm going to pop off and fill out my subscription form, but in the meantime, thanks very much for talking to me, Claire.
Thank you, Claire.
Choosing a car can be a real minefield, especially if you're looking for a new one. But let's say we are looking for a second-hand one. You could either surf the internet or browse through the various car magazines that are available, or you could come to a place like this. They have loads of different makes and models of cars, and you can test drive them and see which one takes your fancy. Claire Wheeler, you're a sales consultant. Where do I start with all these cars?
What are you going to be using the vehicle for, firstly?
Basically, I'm looking for, I think, a two-seater sports car. Just something I can zip around in and have a bit of a fun time.
Okay, do you have a budget you're working to?
I've got about £10,000 to spend.
About £10,000 to spend, okay. Are you bothered whether it's petrol or diesel, anything like that? Any special requirements, colour?
I wouldn't mind black or silver.
Okay.
And unleaded.
And unleaded, right, that's fine.
But I'm not too fussed about that. Really, my main consideration would be price. So are these the kind of things that a woman would ask when they come into your main dealer?
Sometimes they'll come in and they'll ask for a sports car, and when I ask them what do they want it for, and they say to take 3 kids to school, we find that it's totally impractical for them, you know, so I'll steer them in the right direction.
So what would be the main thing that a woman looks for when they come and buy from your dealership?
Something that's of a good price, practical for their needs, really. And those are the main things.
And what's the most popular car with women?
I'd say the Peugeot
Why?
106, because it's small, they look nice, good on petrol parts, things like that. So yeah, we do sell a lot of those, also in the Micras. Yeah.
The main benefit of buying from a dealer, Melissa, is got to be peace of mind package. Reputable dealers are going to carry out an HPI check for you. They're going to also verify the mileage. On top of that, they may inspect it. At Lex Auto Sales, we carry out a full inspection. All of our cars are RAC inspected. And we also offer a 30-day peace of mind package, a total exchange guarantee. So if you don't like the car for any reason, we will exchange it.
Say that I desperately want an MX-5. I've looked around your forecourt and there aren't any. What do you do?
Okay, we have 7 other stores across the group apart from this one. And we've got a total of over 1,600 cars in group stock. So what we'd do is we'd search for the particular car, the MX-5 you're looking for, and we'd probably be able to get it for you from one of the other stores. If it wasn't there, we'd still be able to look across the rest of the Lex group and maybe able to find it somewhere for you.
And it's basically as easy as that. Now all I've got to do is put the top down and enjoy it.
E is for engines. Despite the continual changes in the female driving population, women still tend to drive smaller engine cars than their male counterparts. Now boys, this size thing, we keep telling you it's not how big it is, it's what you do with it that counts.
F is for features. One survey's recently shown that men like to see a good set of alloy wheels and dashboard dials on their cars. And as for women, they apparently like somewhere to store their handbags. I am so ashamed of being a woman sometimes.
G is for gear. Now girls, you've got to make sure you've got the right gear. Oh, Marnie, of course, darling.
H is for hazard lights, and these should be used for emergencies only, not for parking outside shops.
I is for insurance, and the ultimate proof that women are better drivers than men. Women are generally cheaper to insure than their male counterparts, especially before the age of 30.
J is for jump leads. This is the letter that we send guys inviting them for a bit of a quickie in the back of a car.
My name's Elizabeth Dratkin, and when it's working I drive a Porsche 356.
And how long have you had the Porsche for, Elizabeth?
We bought the Porsche towards the end of last summer.
And what made you choose the Porsche?
Well, we knew that we were going to need another car, but we certainly didn't have a little sports car in mind. But it was for sale in the road where we live, and my son and I kept passing it and thinking, if only we didn't have such a large family, that would be a marvellous car to drive. And eventually I persuaded my partner to go and see it, and we have 7 boys between us, so a selection of them went to see it, and we phoned up the chap who was advertising it, and then we went and had a drive in it, and it was irresistible really. We just had to buy it. Even I, who know very little about cars, can see that it's a very simple construction. The engine looks like the inside of a clock. It doesn't look like a modern engine at all. I believe it dates from about 1962. and I very much like the shape of the car and so on, and it's unusual having the engine at the back, but it was really what it looked like that attracted me. I know it has a good reputation and so on, but that's why we bought it, really just for the shape of the thing, and I don't know an awful lot about its history. Well, it would be very practical if it were just for me, but when the winter came and it ceased to start very easily, and there would be damp on the seats and so on, then essentially we started to use the family car, which is large and boring and warm, and it goes every time you start it. So it's practical if you've got the time to mess about with it in the morning, and we hope to have a lot of fun with it in the summer. But as a family car in the winter, it's pretty hopeless.
You say it's not working at the moment, so what exactly is the problem with it?
Well, when we first got it, it needed an MOT, which it got, and we had various things done to it. And then we took it to a Porsche specialist just to have it looked over, and it was backfiring a little. And it's actually been worse since then, but it was still going. And then we decided that the battery needed recharging, and that seems to have finished it off, really. But I think it really needs driving on a daily basis. I think that would have done it good. And when we started to get water on the seats and so on during the winter, we didn't drive it as much, and I think that hasn't helped. But we're going to get it sorted out, and I hope to have a lot of fun with it in the summer. I hope if we can squeeze it into the limited insurance mileage, that Derek and I might be able to take the car abroad, maybe just across the channel, or possibly even to Greece, where we often go. And I think it would be a very exciting car just to load up for 2 people and go away for a week.
Yes, it's crossed the Atlantic and it's on sale now in the UK. The Viper GTS may have started life as a design study, but it's now very much a reality. This is one serious car that you won't forget in a hurry. The sight of one Viper is amazing, but 2 side by side make an awesome sight, with the GTS road car capable of giving the racing version a run for its money in the performance stakes. It has an 8-litre V10 engine. It's capable of 450 horsepower and has a top speed pushing 180 miles an hour. In a world full of restrained, classy cars, the Viper stands out like a stripper at a garden party. On paper, everything about the Viper is wrong. It's too big, it's too fast, it's too powerful, too hard to see out of. It's even too hard to get into. But when you see it, none of it actually matters because it's just too gorgeous for words. As you can see, this isn't a car that comes with any frills. You get electric windows, airbags and a stereo, and that's really your lot. It's simplistic, stylish, and it has a really raw feel about it. And to be honest, that's the whole point of the Viper. You see, this is one car that doesn't have to try too hard. The thing is, it's got you absolutely hooked before you even get inside it. As you can imagine, the responsibility you feel when you're handed the keys to one of these for the afternoon is great. Putting the new Mondeo through its paces is one thing, but with Chrysler's Viper, it's a totally different ballgame. You don't so much drive a Viper as coax it into action and marvel at the amount of power that this engine's great torque can create. 0 to 60 in around 4.5 seconds. Although the steering on it feels fantastic and those enormous Michelins give tremendous grip, the gearbox can be quite tricky. The 6 speeds are very close together and you do need to work quite hard at it. The thing about the Viper is that there's almost a battle for control going on. What it really needs is 2 firm hands and a tremendous amount of respect. In turning the Roadster into the coupe, Chrysler have done far more than simply welded on a roof. Few of the body panels from the RT10 have made it onto the coupe. It's also significantly lighter. The target was to shed 30 kilos. They got rid of 36. The handling is now far less twitchy than the Roadster. Steering is more poised, and you need to be travelling at some alarmingly fast speeds to produce any style of tail wag. The Viper is actually far easier to drive than you would imagine, but beware of those non-ABS brakes. Hit them heavily, and the Viper lives up to its name, flicking its tail end ferociously. It's capable of reaching colossal speeds on high roads, but if you hit a damp patch on a nasty bend in a low gear, then you'd better watch out. There's a couple of things that really take quite a bit of getting used to. One is how low down on the road you're positioned in this. You're looked down upon by absolutely everybody, from truckers to people driving Fiestas. The other thing is how often you're looked at. You try pulling up at a petrol station or a shop, just driving past a group of people in one of these, and they just stop and go. It's absolutely wonderful. For the first year of its production, the Viper will only come in one colour, azure blue, gift-wrapped from head to toe by two sleek white stripes. They're to remind us that the Viper's inspiration was the Shelby Cobra Daytona, the World GT Championship winner of the 1960s. Everything about the Viper has a purpose. Even the coolest brake light in the world, which is there to remind us it's a Viper. The Viper is without doubt an amazing vehicle that packs an incredible punch. And so it should at £62,000. It's the car of your dreams. But when you compare it to other supercars, you realise you actually get an incredible amount of power for your pound. If this car were a man, then I'm sorry guys, but I haven't met one of you yet who's quite as powerful, sexy or cool. Saying goodbye to it is a little bit like leaving someone that you love. It makes me want to throw caution to the wind and sell my house just so that I can own one. And one thing's for sure, after a day spent with the Vipers, driving is not going to be quite the same experience ever again.